Let this meet you right where you are, in this moment. Think of these words as a soft light for your spirit, not a map for your future. Keep what feels like a warm truth, and without a second thought, release anything that does not. I am not here with a timeline or warning. I am here simply to honor the truth of your journey alongside you, and to gently speak to the strength in you that has been waiting so long to be heard. That strength is your quiet engine. It's what kept you moving when you had no fuel left. It's the love you offered when you received none in return. It's the courage you found to stay and face things when everything in you wanted to run. That part of you deserves to hear this. The conflict within you is coming to a close. This peace is not a reward for never struggling, but a result of you refusing to let the struggle change your fundamental goodness. The pain was real, but so was your choice to remain soft in a world that tried to make you hard. Now, a deep calm is gathering around you. It is the specific, heavy quiet that comes when a long fight finally ends. This silence is not hollow. It is thick with understanding, with closure, and with room for your spirit to finally expand and rest. Be honest with yourself. You have been weathering an inner storm for a very long time. You have faced confusion, swallowed disappointment, and carried the weight of love in a space that felt like a void. Yet, look at you. You are still standing, still hoping. That enduring spirit communicates more to the universe than any prayer ever could. I know the weight you've carried. You have questioned if your hope was naive. You have wondered if you heard everything wrong. You have felt invisible in your own life. But from a higher perspective, a different story is told. Your season of waiting was a period of sacred observation. Your sorrow was never pointless. Your quiet endurance was never a flaw. Every unseen moment was witnessed. The private tears you wiped away, the dignity you upheld when you could have crumbled, the grace you chose when anger would have been justified. Those choices were not small. They were the bricks that have built the person you are right now. Here is the truth that changes the story. Time was not working against you. It was working for you. The pause was not rejection. The solitude was not abandonment. The gap was not a sentence. Often, life needs extra time to arrange things properly, to prepare not just the circumstance, but to prepare you and to prepare them. This distance was not a rift, but a refinement process. Your feelings are connected to another heart, a real person, not an idea. They have not been at peace. They have tried to outrun a truth, to fill the silence with noise, but a persistent pull has always called them back. Their internal tug-of-war is the echo of your own faithfulness. This parallel journey is the purpose of this chapter. You haven't merely been waiting in place. You have both been in a necessary state of becoming, being shaped separately so that you might finally fit together in the right way, at the right time, as the right people. There was a quiet voice they couldn't silence. In unexpected moments of still night, a pause in their day, your name would surface in their mind. They did not forget you. They may have tried, but a deeper knowing within them would not allow it. There were nights they felt a strange restlessness, a sense that something was unresolved. Memories of you returned without invitation, and with them came a quiet sense of regret for letting time pass on something they knew, in their heart, was important. They wrestled with truths they avoided. They crafted reasons to explain the space between you. But truth has a quiet, persistent sound. Once a soul truly hears it, keeping up a facade becomes too heavy to carry. What you may not have seen was a quiet breaking happening within them. Old walls of pride began to soften. Fear started to lose its grip. The stories they told themselves began to unravel under the simple weight of what they truly knew. Gradually, They began to understand the real cost of a life without you. It wasn't just about missing a person. It was about missing the peace, the stability, and the sense of rightness your presence brought. Life, in contrast, began to feel noisier, emptier, and more difficult to navigate. And please, hear this next part with your full heart. Without doubt, your love changed them. Not because you demanded it or chased them, but because you offered a love that was clear and honest. You loved without games, without strings attached. You remained true to yourself, even in your pain. That kind of pure love acts like a mirror. It quietly shows a person where they are not being real with themselves. This is why everything needed time. Real growth cannot be hurried, and a person must choose to change on their own. I am reminded of quiet, private prayers, not grand performances, but real, humble moments where they finally stopped running and whispered, "I can't pretend anymore." Moments where they admitted they were afraid. Moments where they asked for guidance instead of an easy way out. When that internal surrender happened, everything began to shift. It wasn't a loud event, but a famed turning point. When a heart finally stops arguing with what is right, the path forward becomes clear. You may have believed the silence meant nothing was happening, but from a higher view, that silence was a sacred incubation period. Something essential was forming beneath the surface, something that needed protection and time. What is being built is not a fleeting feeling. It is a deep, lasting understanding, a connection meant to endure, not just to provide a temporary comfort. And listen closely. This time of waiting was also your preparation. While you were being patient, you are also being strengthened in invisible ways. You learn to trust your own wisdom. You learn to respect your own heart. You learn that loving someone does not require you to lose yourself. You discovered how to stand firm without forcing a result, and how to stay open-hearted while still being safe. This transformation matters deeply, because the person you are now is ready for something genuine and healthy, not just a repeat of the past. So receive this final assurance with peace. You are not behind schedule. You are not late. Your moment has not passed. What felt like a delay was simply everything in you, in them, in the situation moving into its right and proper place. You are exactly where you need to be. The very air around you feels different now because you have changed, and so have they. The ground beneath your feet, which once felt shaky, is now firm. Choices that were once clouded by doubt are now being made with quiet purpose. The shift will reveal itself in a moment that is soft and clear. It won't start with a loud declaration, but in the subtle details, a consistent tone, a reliable presence, a new clarity in their words. You will feel sincerity where there was once uncertainty. You will notice a steady warmth where there was once confusion. You will hear truth spoken simply, without any hidden layers or games. Your spirit, your deepest intuition, will recognize this change long before your thoughts can catch up. This is not a signal to rush forward. It is an invitation to simply allow what has been healed and refined to come to you, honestly and in its own time. A love that has been tested by fire does not announce itself with noise. It arrives with humility, and that quiet humility is the truest proof of real, lasting change. This is not a fantasy being sold to you. It is a call to use your hard-won wisdom, blended with a gentle hope. Let's speak directly to the fear that might still whisper to you, the fear of another letdown, the fear of opening up, the fear of hoping only to hurt again. That caution is not a flaw. It is the proof of your wisdom. And from now on, let that wisdom lead you, not the fear. You have every right to watch and see. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to trust only what is shown to you through action. Your healthy boundaries are not a sign of distrust in heaven. They are a sign of your growth, and they are respected. Nothing you have endured has been wasted. The pain shaped your depth. The waiting built your strength. The silence fine-tuned your ability to listen to what truly matters. Now, something is falling into place. Not with a crash, but with the steady, inevitable certainty of sunrise light that simply arrives. Your only task is to remain present and open. You do not need to chase, convince, or perform. So, as you sit with this, if your heart feels full, let it rest in that feeling. If your heart feels guarded, let it breathe and take its time. If your heart feels a flicker of hope, let it be gentle and kind with itself. You are fully seen. You are completely held. You are being guided. And you are not walking into the next chapter alone. If the only prayer in your spirit right now is a quiet whisper, "I trust this to God," then that is perfectly, profoundly enough. My purpose is not to lock your mind into a single outcome. It is to help your spirit remember how to breathe freely again, and to recall what real love feels like when it is woven with grace. Because I am left with one unshakable certainty: heaven would never let you become just a memory. You were never meant to be a faded thought they scroll past in their mind. You are not easy to forget because you were designed to be a sacred turning pointer, profound kindness, a quiet miracle. Your presence left a permanent imprint, a fingerprint on their very soul. And that is not something the universe simply forgets. Even if they tried to force an ending, something deep within kept turning back to your story. I believe the angels have been doing their quiet, persistent work, bringing your memory to them in ways they couldn't predict or ignore. Not with drama, but with a gentle, recurring whisper that slowly breaks down every wall. It was a song that said the words they couldn't. A passing thought that sounded like your laugh. A quiet moment when your face appeared in their mind, uninvited and clay. It's as if heaven has been stitching your presence into the fabric of their everyday life until they could no longer pretend you weren't a part of it. They tried to move on, the way people do when they're trying to prove something to themselves. They filled the silence with noise, new conversations, new faces, new distractions. But nothing fit. Nothing filled the specific, God-shaped space that your connection occupied. What was meant to be cannot be copied. What was real cannot be replaced by a substitute, no matter how convincing it seems on the surface. They may have worn a brave face and acted unaffected, but in their private moments, they kept arriving at the same quiet truth. They couldn't recreate you. What they felt with you wasn't just attraction or good timing. It was the kind of encounter that makes a person stop and say, "This is different." The more they tried to outrun it, the clearer it became. This wasn't an obsession. It was a revelation. Not a fantasy, but a quiet awakening that settled into their spirit. I feel the Holy Spirit kept gently reminding them of the gifts in you they once overlooked: your gentle nature that required no applause, your love that came with no hidden price, the way you saw past their faults to the person they were meant to be. That kind of love leaves a mark. And when surrounded by other options, other voices, their own pride, there was still that quiet, persistent truth within. But this doesn't feel like home. There's a scripture that says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." I feel it applies here in a profound way. Sometimes, God places a desire in someone's heart long before they understand it. They might call it confusion, or bad timing, or fear. But in truth, it is God touching a place in them that logic can't explain. And My day, it feels as though you became that holy desire not as something to own, but as a sacred invitation for them to learn how to love truly and well. Now, the old ways of running have lost their power. The distractions feel empty. The shallow connections weigh them down. And what is shaking them most is this dawning realization. You are never trying to control them. You are trying to love them. You aren't setting a trap. You are offering to build something real. When they look back, they see the contrast clearly. They see how you stayed kind even when you were hurt. How you never begged. How you never chased. How your love never turned into desperation. You loved from a place of wholeness, not lack. And that, perhaps, is the most unforgettable truth of all. You carried yourself with grace while you waited. You chose to love while still honoring your own worth. You held faith in the quiet, without turning it into a performance. That kind of integrity reshapes a person who once believed love had to be difficult. Right now, they are wrestling with what to say. Thoughts form and then scatter. They type out words only to erase them again. How do you address someone you now recognize as a grace you failed to honor? How do you make amends to a person whose only fault was offering you a love that was whole and healthy? They want to bridge the distance all at once, but they are paralyzed by where to start. The cost of their continued silence has become greater than the risk of finally speaking. Listen closely to what feels true for you. Their approach is different now. It is no longer casual or non-committal. The energy of testing the waters is gone. This time apart was not a sentence. It was an invitation to grow. What felt like waiting was a season of foundation building within a necessary process where insecurity had to fade, arrogance had to soften, and the fear of genuine commitment had to be faced. Sometimes a person must lose the echo of something real to understand its value. They had to stand in the emptiness to finally recognize what was missing. Now, there's a rising urgency within quiet, persistent knowing that can no longer be ignored. This is not merely nostalgia. It is a profound settling of truth. It is the moment their spirit draws a boundary within itself, declaring, "This ends now." No more evasion. No more excuses. You might have noticed a change in your own sense of peace, a deep, unexpected serenity, as if the air itself has stilled in anticipation of a new beginning. This stillness within you isn't helplessness. It is anticipation. Sometimes your spirit receives a signal before any message arrives. Sometimes your heart grows calm because it feels a shift in the atmosphere you cannot yet see. I sense a focused energy around this situation. Now the angels are not only offering you comfort, they are actively at work. They are clearing obstacles, aligning timing, softening hardened places, and quieting the inner noise that breeds doubt. They are making room for what is genuine and lasting. What is unfolding is more than a simple reconnect, Ion. It is a restoration. This isn't about picking up where you left off, but about building something new with understanding. The intention has changed. It is no longer "I miss you," but "I see you now." It is not "I'm here," but "I have changed." They have been given a glimpse of a different possibility, not a daydream to wait for, but a truth to move toward. It's a vision of what a life built on a solid foundation could feel like, a home that is a sanctuary, joy that doesn't come with chaos, a love that allows you to remain fully yourself. It's the image of shared prayers and quiet understanding, a future that feels not like a battle, but like a true refuge. That vision has unsettled them in the most necessary way. Because once a soul has brushed against something sacred and true, it becomes impossible to pretend that anything less will ever be enough.